Current and former superintendents of Winnsboro ISD have been arrested for failing to report child abuse. Good evening and thank you for joining us.
Former Superintendent Brian David Wilcox is charged with 2 counts of failing to report child abuse with intent to conceal. His bonds total $30,000. Meantime, current superintendent Aaron Nation is charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence and failure to report child abuse with intent to conceal. Nation was promoted just last week to the role of superintendent. He's been serving as the district's interim leader ever since Wilcox resigned in September. His bonds total $40,000.
Now, the school district also confirms a third person, Ashley Wilcox, was also arrested, but her charges are unknown. The district says she has not been employed there since last summer. In a statement, the school district said in part, the district takes all allegations of misconduct seriously and is committed to maintaining a safe and supportive environment for our students, staff, and community. They went on to say WISD has been and is fully cooperating with law enforcement authorities in their investigation. Adding counsel to these individuals has indicated that all will enter pleas of not guilty to the charges. And while we're still waiting to learn more about why those arrests were made, we do know they come less than a month after the school board fired the district's police chief. While the district did not comment on Heath Guy's firing, his wife told us it happened after her husband reported allegations to Texas Rangers that a teacher, who was also a coach, had an inappropriate relationship with a student. Last summer, 2 former Winnsboro ISD coaches were arrested. Nicholas Gabriel was arrested in Ellis County, accused of having a sexual relationship with a student, while Jared Lancaster was charged with failing to report child abuse in the same case. Now, we have requested arrest documents to learn more about the charges against the 3 people arrested today. We also have a reporter outside of the Wood County Jail tonight, and we'll keep you updated.